Beatz Media presents the Scoop and Score Football Show.
Spencer Gallup, how we doing, brother?
I'm doing great. I'm doing really good. It's a good day. The weather's finally getting a little bit warmer, but it's still like 15 degrees outside. But it's better than it was. So
Better than it was, but it doesn't matter. We got snow on the way up here. At the end of this week, we have more snow coming next week. We're in a forever blizzard, it feels like. That's the real problem. But it is at least warmer. It's almost swimming weather up here with a nice 23 degrees. So
shoot, Cancun weather.
It is Cancun weather at this point.
That's warm.
Absolutely. Welcome back, everyone, here to the Scoop and Score Football Show, episode 21, brought to you by Ball N Beatz Media, here with Logan and Spencer. And we have come to the final week. Super Bowl 60 this weekend. New England Patriots, Seattle Seahawks. We won't talk about the Pro Bowl games. There's nothing to talk about there. We're going to recap a little bit of the 2025 college football season, bring up moments that really stood out to us. And of course, coaching carousel seems to be practically done now at this point. We'll talk about that, but of course we have to start with Super Bowl 60. Patriots, Seahawks. There's some injuries to kind of watch out for. Drake May was a full participant in practice yesterday for the Patriots. He's kind of banged up. Nick Emenwari apparently sprained his ankle in practice yesterday for the Seahawks as well. So there's some injuries to possibly look out for in this matchup.
No, I agree. I think everyone's gonna play. I don't think we're gonna see a Super Bowl where Drake May is not playing or Sam Darnold's not playing. Like any of the main players that even if they had like some sort of ankle injury, you have 2 weeks to rest off, and it's the Super Bowl. I think that they're gonna try to play through it or try to, at least to an extent. Like if it's like something insane, then no, I would definitely sit out. But if it's like a soreness or if it's something that you could maybe play, they're going to play. So I have no question Darnold and Drake May will play.
They definitely will play. Like you said, it's Super Bowl 60. They're not missing it for nothing.
I don't even know who the backups are for both these teams, so I don't really need to see that.
You don't want to see a Jared Stidham come in for Drake May? You don't want to see who? You don't want to see Jalen Milroe?
He's in Denver. I don't know.
You don't want to see Jalen Milroe start for the Seattle Seahawks?
Oh, is he there back? Or I thought, is Drew Lock still there?
Oh, yeah, it is Drew Lock, too. They have both of them.
Drew Lock and New England. Is Joe Milton still there? Is still in New England?
I think he's in Dallas.
I think
he's the Dallas Cowboys backup. Maybe it's like a guy like Brett Ripon or something like that. I don't know.
That would be fun but awful at the same time.
You're not ready. They're not ready for it. But in reality, let's break down the stuff that doesn't matter, okay? Because I think that's more of our talking points here, is the stuff that really doesn't matter. The end zones, okay? I hate the navy on navy. It's aesthetically unpleasing. I need these throwback unis. I need it all. I need the throwback unis. I need a red jersey or a lime green jersey or a lime green end zone or a red end zone. It's aesthetically unpleasing to have same colors clash.
Yeah, but I mean that's the color. Like that would be what their colors are. I mean the Patriots aren't going to have really well. I mean red end zones might look okay for the Patriots. It would look a little odd, but Seattle, I think if you would have had green, it could have worked. Like their lime green that they had with those like color rush uniforms a while ago. But I mean those are their two main colors.
Yes,
they're both navy dark blues, and that's just what it is. I mean it's unfortunately the two teams that are playing. So
we also have way too many jersey patches. Way too many. Seattle already had one patch. It's awful, but
there's too much going on in it.
Way too much.
Just make it simple. It used to be so simple. It used to be the Lombardi Trophy and then like LX or LXIVV or whatever Roman numeral it is this year. It is LV, but whatever it was super simple. And now it's like, I guess it's kind of cool that they're trying to intervene like the cities. Like last year for New Orleans, you had like the Mardi Gras type, style design, and it looked kind of cool. But like this year, it's just a bunch of colors. It's like a rainbow, and then you got the Golden Gate Bridge in the background. I don't know.
It's not good. It is not good, but you know what is good are these two teams. And let's get into the stuff that actually matters. New England Patriots, Seattle Seahawks, Sunday, February 8th, 6:30 p.m., Super Bowl 60. The two best teams, we kind of talked about it last week. These are the two best teams, and there's a reason why they're here. Seattle's looked like the best team all year long. In New England, it felt like almost a year early, wouldn't you think, with New England?
Well, yeah, they won 4 games last year, and if they win the Super Bowl, this would be one of the greatest turnarounds in NFL history. And just shows how great of a job Mike Vrabel has done for the Patriots. No, I think that if you'd have told me at the beginning of the year this is the Super Bowl, I wouldn't have believed you. Would have been insane. Seattle was, I think, 7-10 last year. And if I remember right, and the Patriots were one of the worst teams in football last year. And now both these teams turn it completely around, win 14 games, and it's been an insane turnaround for both. And I'm happy for both fan bases. It's been such a long drought for both of these teams since they've won a Super Bowl.
So long,
so bad.
So long.
It's been such a long time. It's been like 7 years for Patriots fans, and it's been
like 11 or 12.
12 or 11 years for Seahawks fans. It's been a really hard time for them since they, won a Super Bowl, let alone make a Super Bowl.
Right,
but
exactly.
Win a Super Bowl. So great for all these fan bases that went through all that endurance and went through all that pain and suffering. I can't imagine what that's like.
Me neither. I have no idea. I'm so used to success over here in Northeast Ohio.
That's all. Yeah. The Lions are the dynasty of the future. That everyone honestly, knows that. And they've been the dynasty of the past too. So
we're basically the Bermuda Triangle of the NFL with, honestly, you could include Buffalo. So really it's more like a square, the Bermuda Square with Buffalo, Cleveland, Detroit, and Cincinnati. The epitome of doomsday. A bunch of squares. Honestly, that's who runs the front offices in those 4 cities.
Yeah.
But no, really, New England and Seattle. New England in particular, they've played in double-digit Super Bowls now. And New England's going for history either way you slice it. If they lose, they'd have the most losses in Super Bowl history. If they win, they make that jump to most wins
and of any franchise.
So it'll be intriguing. I think it's time to finally predict this matchup. Spencer, who you got winning?
Well, I've made fun of the Super Bowl matchup because it's just such an odd Super Bowl. Like, it's 2 teams that nobody expected. And, the sad part about it is they're 2 underdog stories. And I think that's really cool, but it's 2 teams that are not underdogs, especially New England. New England's not an underdog, and because of how much they've won since people have alive. It's like, well, they're back. In Seattle, they had that run with the Legion of Boom, and now they have their own new Legion of Boom, and they have, they signed Sam Darnold, and it's worked wonders with them. I think he's still an average quarterback, but he's in a great system in Seattle, and Mike Macdonald. Both these head coaches have deserved so much credit, and Mike Vrabel turned it around in 1 year. Mike Macdonald did it in 2. So both these head coaches have so much to be proud about, not only for their team, but for themselves. But saying that, I know Seattle's the favorite by 4.5. Almost all sports books have them at least a 4-point favorite in the Super Bowl, which I think is a little weird. I think it's a little odd. I don't know if that has to do with it being close to Seattle, to see if there's more Seahawks fans in Santa Clara.
It could just be the fact that people watch Seattle and just think they're better all around too. That wouldn't be surprising.
I'm going with the Patriots. I think that the New England Patriots, I don't know why, and my girlfriend's picking the Seahawks. She told me the other day, because I asked her just for the fun of it. She thinks Seattle's going to win, and I wanna agree with her, but I have a feeling deep down that the Patriots just always find ways both these teams always find ways to win. But I don't know if it's just fatigue from them winning all these championships, but I just think Boston's so spoiled and they just always win everything.
Feels like it, right? Yeah.
So I think that Mike Vrabel and the Patriots, Drake May, and those signings, I mean, all of their offseason signings have worked to wonders. Stephon Diggs, Milton Williams, Carlton Davis. They've been fantastic for this football team, and that defense was revitalized. The offense has some juice. Kayshon Boutte really had a solid year with Drake May and their run game, while frustrating with Travion Henderson. They've gotten better. I just think New England finds a way, and I also don't trust Sam Darnold, and I don't care that he had the best game of his life in the NFC title game. I cannot trust just a boob. He's just a boob, and I don't trust him. I don't trust Sam Darnold.
What's your score prediction?
If Sam Darnold wins the Super Bowl, I will go on here and publicly apologize to
absolutely nobody.
No, Sam Darnold, but all Gingers and all Seahawks fans.
You should apologize to Gingers for sure.
I should. Yep.
What's the score? What's the score, Spence?
28-24.
28-24. 28-24 New England. Okay.
Just like it was, 11 years ago.
So what you're saying is basically
same final score. You know what? Same way. Let's get Sam Darnold. He's going to he's not going to hand the ball off to Kenneth Walker at the 1 yard line.
He's going to try
to throw it to Cooper Kupp or JSN. And it's going to get picked off
by Davis or Gonzalez for
Christian
sure.
Gonzalez. Yep.
All right. This game, to me, they're kind of similar, right? And when it comes to New England, the aspect of them really stands out. Like, I think Drake May's gotten a lot of hate for no reason, because of the fact that you look at the teams they've played, he hasn't statistically been otherworldly.
They have had an insane easy schedule. They've literally played the Bills twice.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
But in the playoffs, they played 3 top 5 defenses in the NFL in a row. The Chargers, Texans, Broncos. Now, granted, you can say whatever you want about the offensive side of the ball for all of those teams when they had to play them. That's
the Chargers
100% fair.
Decent. I'd say the Chargers have a decent offense.
Well, they do, but their offensive line is just...
Yeah.
This year, I mean, you didn't have Joe Alt. You didn't have Rashawn Slater healthy all season long.
And with the Texans, I love CJ Stroud, but he was horrific this season. He was awful. He needs to be better. Yes. And he knows that.
Yes. And you can say that they kind of got the benefit of the doubt, maybe, because of also Bo Nix being out for Denver in that AFC Championship game and it playing into their
Denver
favor
would have won
with
the
weather.
game. Bo Nix is in there. I completely believe that.
I believe that too. We both said that last week. I mean, I agree with you there. But this kid's battle tested, and it's not like Sam Darnold in Seattle isn't either. Seattle, they look like the more complete team. Bless you. They look like the more complete team on both sides of the ball because that defense is nasty. You have the better defensive line overall, I would say, and it's crazy because they're old. Like, I would not have thought I would see Leonard Williams and DeMarcus Lawrence in the great year of 2026.
Yeah. Their defensive
like
lines turn back the clock.
Nick Imanwari mentioned him already today at the time of recording. NFL Honors is happening. He might win Defensive Rookie of the Year. I don't think he will, but he could and could have a fair argument. He's one of the best in the secondary, period, as a rookie in the NFL. Tariq Woolen, kid to watch, possibly getting franchise tagged or for free agency. He will make a bag regardless wherever he goes. Another great piece in the secondary. I mean, then you go to the offensive side. You have arguably the offensive player of the year in Jackson Smith and Jigba. Kenneth Walker III's really coming to his own. Statistically, it always isn't great, but it's consistent. And it's either, like last week, he only ran like 65, 70 yards on like 13, 14 carries, but it's efficient. And he's one of the better running backs in the league, period, right now. He does benefit with Zach Charbonnet. That's the only real thing I'm watching for Seattle in this game. Is the loss of Zach Charbonnet going to affect that running game even more against a defense like New England, where those two can't rotate in and out like that, where Halani's going to have to step up for Seattle. when it's all said and done, and I'm looking at this game between both teams, there's just something I trust about Mike Vrabel, who's been in the moment multiple times in his career as a player and as an assistant coach before. I trust Mike Vrabel, and I trust the city of Boston. I don't know if this is me trying to, spin it on Boston maybe a little bit, because I've been on record saying how much I hate the city of Boston and their sports, as they're the most, spoiled fan base.
You can all the words you want.
But I'm going with New England too. I don't know if this is us doing our reverse jinx.
Wow.
But I'm going with the New England Patriots to win Super Bowl 60. My score is very similar. I have 24-21. 24-21 New England.
I hate saying the Patriots win the Super Bowl again. I don't.
It feels like we're just back to reality.
Why couldn't it have been like an up and coming, like a different team? Like,
why couldn't it have been like Tua and Mike McDaniel in Miami? Oh wait, they can't play in the cold.
Any team that
Why couldn't it be like the Cincinnati Bengals finally getting a Super Bowl? Why couldn't it have been the Bills? Why couldn't it have been the Cleveland Browns? I mean, obviously we have a Pro Bowl quarterback this year. I don't know how we didn't get there.
You had two. Yeah, the Browns had two on their roster. Can you believe that?
I know. That's insane to me. Like, you would think
everybody's a Pro Bowler now.
You would think with the team having two Pro Bowl quarterbacks on their roster, they would have been towards the top, right? Just two of them.
I don't want to talk about it this week, but I think at some point we need to have a conversation that they should get rid of the Pro Bowl. They can announce people as Pro Bowlers, but just don't don't do anything.
Don't play an actual game or even flag football.
You can be a Pro Bowler. Like, they can announce, like, Drake May or Jared Goff or any of these players. Like, you guys are Pro Bowlers. Congratulations. But we're not doing anything.
See, the problem, right?
Ridiculous.
The problem right now is really, I mean, you see it in the NFL and the NBA when it comes to All-Star break, which is coming up for NBA as well. It's the same problem. It's not a real product anymore. There's no real benefit for these guys getting announced as an all-star or getting announced as a Pro Bowler. Really, in the NFL, all-pro
the
teams
MLB does
matter.
All-Star Weekend great.
The MLB does it better than anybody.
Yep.
It's not even close. NHL actually has gotten a little bit better, I would say, too, with their all-star.
They are, but now they're taking a 3-week. They don't have it this year because they're doing the Olympic break.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
They're taking 3 weeks off for the Olympic break. It's crazy.
But the NFL, I agree. We will talk about it more down the road because there was no point to watch what happened on Tuesday.
No, I honestly didn't watch it. Completely forgot. I just saw that it was a final score like 66-52 in the NFC one, and I was like, "Oh, that was today." Oh.
No, basically there was no real promo. It was on a Tuesday evening. Like, no one's going to watch that on a Tuesday. No. There's a reason why it's pushed to Tuesday. It's not the Sunday.
Because they used to have it on the weekends. Yep. They used to have it on, like, Saturday and Sunday. They would have the skills competitions on one day, and then they would have the flag football game, or it used to be, like, a legit football game, and that was actually interesting. But whatever.
Whatever is right.
But we both picked New England. Congratulations to Seattle.
Congratulations to Sam Darnold. And the thing is, we didn't even talk about this.
Who wins Super Bowl MVP?
Who wins Super Bowl MVP? If it's going to be, since we both picked New England, I'm going to go with Stephon Diggs. I think Stephon Diggs is going to have maybe a career game. This is a guy who's been, I mean, granted, you can talk about whatever off the field and everything going on with him. Obviously, there's things there, but we won't talk about that. But his on-the-field play, this dude's been wanting this opportunity for a long time. He's finally got it. And I think he's going to show out on the biggest stage.
And he's already, in my opinion, I think he had better teams in Buffalo, and they just didn't get through. But
yeah.
For some reason, I don't know why. I think that, like, Christian Gonzalez is gonna, like, have a pick six, or he's gonna do something. You get like 2 interceptions, or he's gonna have a pick six. And I can't remember the last defensive player to win Super Bowl.
Was it
MVP.
Malcolm Smith in Seattle when they beat Denver? Because he had the pick six, and then I think he had a fumble recovery,
I can't remember, but I just have.
I know Malcolm Smith won it. I know Malcolm Smith.
I have a feeling that Christian Gonzalez is going to do, because it would be boring to say Drake May, but because Drake May probably will if they win and he has a solid game, unless like Diggs has a crazy game or their run game's nuts. But watch out for Christian Gonzalez because he is arguably one of the best corners in the league, and him against JSN is going to be a hell of a matchup to watch out for.
Yes. And then Carlton Davis probably on Cooper Kupp, I would assume as well. So those are going to be fun matchups to watch throughout this game. But I mean, I agree. I didn't want to pick quarterback because I wanted to be different too. That's why I went with Stephon Diggs. And
because it would be easy to say Drake May, because Drake May probably will if the Patriots win and he has a solid game. But it's something different.
Something different. Well, something different for two more teams here, as we have the coaching carousel kind of finally closing. Obviously, still some small coordinator moves, smaller moves like that tight end position coaching moves, but two more head coaches filling up the last two spots. In Arizona, officially with Michael LaFleur, the former Rams offensive coordinator. I'd been predicting that one since day one. I felt that Arizona was going with a guy in their division because their mindset was, let's get a guy in our division, take away from a team to make them a little bit worse and help get us a little bit better. And Michael LaFleur is now the Arizona Cardinals head coach. And then you look at the Raiders, and it's not official yet because the season is not over, but Clint Kubiak, Seattle Seahawks offensive coordinator, is going to be their head coach next year. What are your thoughts on those two moves?
I really like the Clint Kubiak hire. Now, I know that whoever gets hired by the Raiders just becomes a dud and like they just fizzle out in 1 year because they have a new head coach every single year.
This is the fourth season in a row they'll have a new head coach.
But because it was Pete Carroll, and then it was Antonio Pierce, and then it was
Josh McDaniels,
and then
before him it was
who was the interim in 21?
Gruden / Rich Bisaccia.
Rich Bisaccia, that's who it was. I remember because I remember Raiders fans wanted to hire him because he brought them to the playoffs that year. I like this hire for Clint Kubiak just because one ties with his dad. His dad was a Hall of Fame head coach. But at the same time, I like his offensive schemes. I think that his run game schemes are really, really underrated. He did really good things with Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet, and hopefully he can bring that to Ashton Genty. They do really, really bad need to upgrade that offensive line. Just they need to really help out because they're going to draft Fernando Mendoza #1, and you want to help your quarterback out as much as you possibly can. But I really like the Clint. I like the Clint Kubiak hire a ton. I think he's going to do good things for the Raiders. Now you can come back to me when they go, when they'll be like 2-9 and they fire Kubiak and he comes an OC somewhere else. But for right now, I do like it a lot. But the problem with the Raiders still is their offensive line. I mean, they have a lot of issues. They need to figure out what they're doing with Max Crosby because now it's reported that Max Crosby wants to leave the Raiders.
Yes.
After being loyal to them for years and just enduring, he doesn't want to do another rebuild, which I completely agree with. So they need to figure out that. But the Raiders
come to Cleveland, be opposite of Myles Garrett, but that's just bias talk. No, but seriously, that did come out yesterday, right? That Max Crosby officially is like, I'm done with this.
Or either yesterday or the day before, but it was just reports that he's done. He doesn't want to do it anymore, and I think a little bit had to do with how it was handled the last couple games of this season, where they benched him for the last 2 games, and he was pissed off. He wanted to play, and even though the Raiders are horrible, they are the worst team in football. They're ass. He is as loyal as they come. He is as hard of working as a person as they come, and he just wants to go out with his guys. And I respect Max Crosby. I would love him with the Lions. There's no way in hell it happens because the Lions wouldn't want to trade multiple first-round picks. They just don't make those risky moves.
Right.
But I would do a lot of unholy things if he came to Detroit and was opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. To me, he screams like a Buffalo Bill. I think
I was thinking Buffalo
Bills.
I see Commanders possibly. I think the Commanders could completely revamp their edge rushing.
But the Bears, I don't know if they would have to trade multiple first-round picks and players. It's it's a lot. It's going to take a lot for you to get Max Crosby, but
I think it's very possible this offseason
you
that it
can get
does
a
happen.
lot of draft capital, and that's what the Raiders need. The Raiders need first round picks. They need a utilization of youth. They have a couple young pieces. They have Brock Bowers, who had he didn't have a great year last year, but then
Right.
again, the Raiders were just they weren't great in general. Ashton Genty was kind of, we expected more, but at the same time, they don't have an O-line. So if you don't have an O-line, your running back's not going to, find the gaps.
Right. And he showed
And they weren't.
flashes from time to time. I think he had a better
He
rookie
did.
season than a lot of people
Yeah,
gave him credit.
he did. He did show flashes, and I think there is something there with Genty and him, and him and Fernando Mendoza and Brock Bowers. Now you're starting to get a foundation of youth on the offense. The problem is your defense has nobody. Like your defense is.
Yeah.
They need pieces. They need to spend this offseason, and they need to draft. But I think that if you go out, you're going to trade Max Crosby. If I'm the Raiders general manager, I'm trading him just because I need the capital and I need everything I can get.
Yes.
I think the most enticing offer probably would be the Commanders, because the Commanders were bad last year, and I think if you would ask for their first round pick, and I think it's a top 10 pick.
They have the number 7. Number 7.
Yeah. So oh my God, that's a Arvell Reese. That's a, Sonny Styles. That's
Sonny Styles, David Bailey, Ruben
David
Bain,
Bailey,
possibly. Just depends.
Yeah, depending on where he goes. Yeah, like you can get an elite star level defensive player. And even if now, I wouldn't do this, but even if the Raiders want to say, you know what, we just want to completely build up our offense, they can do that too. You have 2 top 10 picks, but they need to do the move. I think the Commanders have the most enticing move, and I think that would make the Commanders arguably, the Eagles are kind of on a decline, in my opinion, just because of what's the hires, and they just did not look right last year.
Yeah.
And a lot of it has to do with the offense. But I mean, if the Commanders get Max Crosby, that's a really good football team, both offensively and defensively. So
yes,
we'll see. But I like the Clint Kubiak hire more than I like the Mike LaFleur.
I think just the Arizona situation it's a lot.
They hired
they
it seems like they just hired like their choice, like E option, or like their 6th or 7th option.
They went with their more logical person that they were actually going to get a chance to hire. And I mean, I hope it works out for LaFleur. He is the younger brother of Packers head coach Matt LaFleur, so both brothers are now head coaches in the NFL.
Yeah.
It's his first crack. Maybe it works out.
I think but the Cardinals have so many issues. They're a lot like the Raiders. Like, what are they doing with Kyler Murray?
Well, at least the Raiders, it feels like okay, we're probably getting Fernando Mendoza. That one seems like it's written in the stars. That's pretty much already guaranteed. Where with the with Cardinals, it's kind of like, what do we do here? Watch with Kyler Murray. He could be traded.
Kyler Murray a ton of money.
He could be cut, but there's a lot of dead cap with him being cut. That's the one issue with him. It's not like it's.
And this
have capital.
Class is not that great. Like, if you don't get Fernando Mendoza, which you're not, I mean, who are you drafting?
Well, the one to watch right now is Trinidad Chambliss, and I'm only saying Trinidad Chambliss because he did get his waiver denied by the NCAA. However, this is not over with Trinidad Chambliss, because if he goes to court and he gets an injunction, that means he could still play for Ole Miss next year. So the whole thing with Trinidad Chambliss, I think, has put a wrench in a lot of people's ideas when it comes to their overall prospect list, the quarterback situation for the draft this year. It's still not done. It's still not done with Trinidad Chambliss, even though he got his waiver denied by the NCAA last night at the time of this recording, so it would have been Wednesday night. But with Arizona, I mean, they still have Jacoby Brissett. Maybe you just pay him to be the quarterback next year and just know and talk with LaFleur, be like, we know we're not going to be good next year. We're going to give you some time. The thing is, they do have pieces. Like, Trey McBride's arguably the best tight end in the NFL. Marvin Harrison Jr. finally played a little bit like what you thought he could be in the NFL this year. James Conner's a decent running back when he's healthy. He wasn't healthy this year. They need another tackle opposite of Paris Johnson Jr. at number 3. I think you have to take tackle there regardless. of who it is. It could be Maui Noah from Miami. It could be Fano from Utah. It could be someone else. Those two probably are the two clear-cut offensive tackles in this draft class, though. But they need other pieces still. Their defense got a little bit better on that defensive line. Secondary's okay. Linebacking is okay. But they're young, and they need to understand the situation that they're in and give LaFleur an actual chance to really rebuild it. So
yeah, I agree. I mean, it's a complete rebuild in Arizona, and they only have like a singular piece in Trey McBride. I love Marvin Harrison Jr., but he just hasn't been that guy. And maybe
he got
it
better
just
this year.
takes
He
a new
got better.
coordinator. Maybe it just takes a new quarterback. But they have a couple things, but it's not looking good. Arizona is going to be very bad next year.
Yes, they might have.
I would be shocked if they're around 500.
So can we bank on Arch Manning being an Arizona Cardinal?
They're going to be up there for the first overall pick, so they're going to have a ton of options. The Cardinals are, and I think that's what you're going to see a lot of these teams that are especially in free agency, just tank this season to say, you know what, we'll go out and we'll get a guy, and maybe we'll sign a backup, or we'll sign an average player, and he'll go out there and we'll suck, and then we'll just draft one of the 15 quarterbacks that's going to be taken next year.
Next year's draft class, on paper, at least now, I feel like we say this every year. Oh, this one's better than the last one. This one's better than the last one. That's what everyone said in 26 about this quarterback class. And look, it might be even worse than it was with Cam Ward and Shadur Sanders and Jackson Dart last year. Everyone thought this year was going to be the year, and those guys who were supposed to be with the Garrett Nussmeyers of the world. I will say this about Garrett Nussmeier, very good at the Senior Bowl because he was actually healthy. He looked like the best quarterback there. He could sneak up draft boards, be like a second-round pick. Wouldn't fully shock me there. You had guys like Lenora Sellers, who just didn't perform that well this year as an overall team in South Carolina. He's back for another year. So there's a lot of guys who were supposed to be in this draft that either just didn't perform or are back in college for another year, surprisingly, than it was this past offseason. So
yeah,
2027's draft class is looking very, very strong, or arguably generational.
And you still got Jeremiah Smith at the top. So, you're going to have options everywhere.
Defensively, too, man. Defensively, it's still going to be an elite class. 2027 on paper is going to be great. It's going to be great. Speaking of
DC
college football, while we're at it, we're going to pivot to college football. Before we do, got to take a sip of this B&B water. Had a couple sips. That's number 3 or number 4 already. And everyone should subscribe to the channel. They should hit that push notification bell to stay up to date on all new videos. You should follow us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Wherever you get your podcasts, we are available to you. You should follow us on our social media pages, Instagram, TikTok, at Ball N Beatz Media, Twitter as well. It's Twitter, not X, at Ball N Beatz Media. And you should let us know what your favorite moment of the 2025 college football season was, because that's what we're going to get into. We're going to kind of recap. Last week we did our way too early rankings going into next season, but I wanted to take this episode some time to kind of just recap on moments from the 2025 season that just made it special. Spencer, what's the first thing that comes to mind from the 2025 season that you're like, that's just, I can't forget that?
Favorite, fan-wise, or favorite just in general?
General, period, across the board.
The Fernando Mendoza performance against Penn State, I think, has got to be up there. That drive that he had, that was his Heisman moment against Penn State when they were losing, and Indiana came back and won that game in Happy Valley for, I think, the first time ever. That was a massive, massive win for the Hoosiers. That a game that they looked pedestrian, but they still won. And while I was cheering against them, that catch, I've never seen anything like that. That was an insane throw. That was an insane catch. That was as good as it gets by a play. I mean, that was a tough play by Mendoza to get that ball off, and that was an even greater catch, just the toe tap. That genuinely was one of the greatest catches I've seen in a while. And that was one of the greatest plays I've seen in a while to win a football game.
Mendoza with the lean back, like falling backwards,
It
throwing
was
it
a
on 3rd
fallback,
and goal.
uncomfortable, just heave, and it was a perfect one. Perfect ball. He couldn't have thrown it better off his back foot.
No.
Another one has got to be Dylan Thienemans, however you say his last name.
Interception against Penn State.
Yeah, to really derail the whole Penn. Oh, not yet. No, that next one's not. But that started the downfall of Penn State. That play.
Yeah, I mean, you had a couple teams.
Great catch.
You had a couple teams who had downfalls. I mean, Penn State. You could put Clemson. You could kind of. Texas not as much, but still kind of there. And LSU, all of those teams had high expectations. You're talking national championship expectations with all 4 of those programs, and none of them made the playoff.
Yeah. So that play in overtime to win Oregon the game was huge for the Ducks, and that was a massive win at the time for them.
I want to pivot back to Indiana real quick because that Penn State game before, you already mentioned Indiana had never won at Penn State before that game. And I remember right before the game started, sideline reporters talking to Curt Cignetti, asking him a question about,
team never played here. Yeah.
Said this team never played here before. But I also want to talk about the Indiana story a little bit deeper because it didn't start at Penn State. It actually started in a game that we picked week 4 at home against Illinois. Because Illinois had the playoff hype this year.
Yeah, they did. And I fell for it.
Oops. And Indiana was at home. They were favored in the game, too. Indiana was favored, but I think a lot of people were leaning Illinois. I think everyone just kind of wrote off Indiana this year. And they went and beat them by 53 points and won 63-10. And from that moment, I said, Spencer, Indiana's like that.
They proved everybody wrong.
And that's where the story really started this year for Indiana. But it even starts even deeper because you look at that Old Dominion game, first play of the game, the quarterback, Colton Joseph.
They were doubted in every single game.
Colton Joseph scored on the first touchdown, first play of the game.
Even the playoffs, people were picking Advocate. Oh, Alabama's going to beat Indiana. Oh, Oregon. Yeah. Oregon's going to beat Indiana. Oh, then you had people telling you Miami was going to beat Indiana, and they could have, and they probably should have. But
they didn't.
They didn't, and Indiana did it. It's the greatest underdog story we will ever see. And I know it's like an underdog in terms of like team, not rankings, because they were the number 1 ranked team, but like nobody believed in them. Nobody thought. They're like, oh, it's Indiana. They'll choke. And they did it. They won the national championship in football.
It's absurd.
My next moment has got to be, it was a really cool moment. It was the week right after this game, the game I just talked about. It was UCLA beating Penn State and them carrying Jerry Neuheisel off and like just throwing him up in the air and him crowd surfing. That was a really sweet moment for him and for the interim head coach. People forget about the.
That's what I wanted to talk about is the fact that I had in my notes here. I have Jerry Neuheisel for 3 weeks because for 3 weeks. Most of America, except the minority who really paid attention like us, we knew he wasn't the head coach or the interim head coach. Everyone else thought he was the interim head coach.
Deshaun Foster got no love.
Yeah, Deshaun Foster got no love.
Foster,
Tim Skipper was the interim head coach.
Skipper,
but Deshaun Foster was the coach who got fired. But my dad and stepmom, we're watching football. My other family's watching football. Other friends are watching football. They're thinking Jerry Neuheisel's the interim head coach. They're like, wait, this kid isn't even the interim head coach. Why are they showing him so much? It's because of 1, his locks. 2, he was Gary, right? It's Gary Neuheisel, the coach who's on CBS. I think that's his first name.
It's because he was the interim offensive coordinator in UCLA, put 42 points on
Penn State. Yeah, that's exactly it because they couldn't do that against anybody else. Yes, he was basically a storyline from like week 4 to like week 7, and then it just died down.
Isn't he at Northwestern now?
Yes, he is at Northwestern with that coaching staff. Man, you want to talk about a team this year who I think could have taken the next jump, but their schedule is so brutal. Dog, it is. Oh, Northwestern's schedule is so brutal. And they have Aiden Childs as their quarterback next year, so that'll be interesting for them. I got a moment. We haven't even brought it up yet, and I think it could be the biggest storyline of the entire 2025 season. The Lane Kiffin saga with him jumping ship to LSU, a rival school of Ole Miss, taking Ole Miss, them going 11-1, solidifying themselves as a playoff team, best season arguably in Ole Miss history. And before the playoffs even start, he says, "Bye, Felicia." And then he has Marty Smith basically living 3 days straight off of pure coffee and vibes and no sleep. And he's just waiting to watch this dude flee. And he tells a great story of how he got with Lane Kiffin on that Amtrak to have his interview with him leaving town, with all the fans saying whatever they want to, booing him on his way out of town in that private jet.
Yeah.
And then you have the leak of Pete Golding and everything that happened with his first meeting with the team being announced as head coach, all the drama and the tea leaves around it. And Ole Miss still went on and almost played for a national title.
Yeah,
And now you have a storyline going into 2026 still with Ole Miss because Trinidad Chambliss situation, as I mentioned earlier, with his possibility of not being their quarterback, could be still if they get an injunction in a couple weeks here. I think on the 12th, 1 week from today at the time of recording. I think that February 12th is when he would be meeting with the court to see if he can get an injunction. If not, then he's going pro. But it would be Deuce Night for next year. And the first conference game for both teams are against each other in Oxford. You can't write that better. Lane Kiffin being Lane Kiffin was maybe the biggest storyline outside of Indiana. Honestly, it could just be the biggest one, period, just because of the overall drama.
Yeah.
True. You can't forget that one because Lane Kiffin pulled the ultimate Lane Kiffin, even more than he ever did before.
Yeah.
And now he's going to a program that fits exactly who he is. They're the same. It's a perfect match if you really think about it. LSU loves the drama in the team. This is going to be the most fun 5 or 6 seasons for LSU football before he does the exact same thing.
Before he just leaves. Yep.
It's another situation. It's another one, Spence.
I'm going to tell you one, and I don't know if you probably heard of it, but I don't think a lot of people have. It's a college that not a lot of people have heard of, and it's a very low level. But the stat line that this guy put up is something that we will never see again.
I already know where you're going.
College's running back, Monty Quinn. Do you know who that is?
You said what was the college? You said Curry College?
Curry College running back. He set the single game NCAA rushing record for all divisions.
Okay.
He carried the ball 20 times. Do you want to guess how many yards he ran for?
Well, I know the record before would have been either was it Melvin Gordon or was it Melvin Gordon who has the record, right? Or did someone else pass Melvin Gordon?
It was one of the Wisconsin running backs.
Well, it was over 400 yards. So I would have to assume with 20 carries, I would have to go 450 to 500 range, somewhere in there.
Quinn carried the ball 20 times for 522 rushing yards and 7 touchdowns in his team's 71-27 victory over Nichols.
Nichols, yeah.
Set 522 yards. He carried the ball 20 times.
522 divided by 20. Divide that up. What's the average on that? That's got to be like
that's
what?
Like I think that's
like 30 some yards a carry.
It's about 20 rough. Hold on, I'll do the math.
Do the quick math, and while you're doing the quick math, we already just told you, but subscribe to the channel. All right, you should do that. You should hit that push notification bell.
Yards to carry. It's 26 to carry.
So basically, the second he touched the ball after getting the kickoff or whatnot, first play, just ran a touchdown.
Was actually held by Heidelberg running back Cartel Brooks, who amassed 465 yards in 2013.
Okay.
What made that stat line more unreal is that he didn't play the final 9 minutes of that game.
That's actually insane. So you're telling me we have the next LaDainian Tomlinson.
Monty Quinn, 522 yards in 20.
Monty Quinn
is unbelievable.
Monty Quinn, we're giving you your flowers here at Ball N Beatz Media and the Scoop and Score Football Show. Here's another story for you. People just forgot the first 2 weeks of the season that there was a very obvious best group of 5 team in the country in South Florida Bowls. You had Byram Brown, you had Alex Golish. Week 1 just dismantle Boise State. And they went on the road to basically decapitate Billy Napier in Florida and just ruin any real chance for Florida. And I did pick them to go to the playoff. I did. I fell into the trap of DJ Lagway, and I fell into the trap of believing Billy Napier was finally going to do it. And USF cut the throat at that. I got to tell you, I think their storyline to watch for 2026, specifically with Auburn, with Alex Golish and Byron Brown, I think their potential for them to be a very, very sneaky SEC team next year, simply because you have that coaching staff and roster all put together with each other. And so I think that those are a great story, is Auburn and South Florida, as Spencer has disappeared from me. I'm going to say another one as well. The other one I'm thinking of off the top of my head is the shirtless trend. You saw it at Oklahoma State. I think it was Oklahoma State-Oregon game where you had one fan, 2 fans just take their shirts off. They take their shirts off and then they just start spinning them around like crazy. And then half the crowd starts doing it. And then it follows everybody everywhere. Everyone starts doing it. Spencer, why'd you have to run away so quickly from me, huh?
My dog went to the bathroom right in front of my face.
Oh, yeah? So your dog basically said, hey, your takes, they're crap.
Yeah. So
he basically told you Seattle's winning the Super Bowl. Gotcha. See, that's what is better about Ball N Beatz Media and the Scoop and Score football show, better than anywhere else. You get to see dogs crap live, okay? You get to see reactions to dogs crapping live. And, I think we've all been there, right? We all feel a little bubble gut sometimes. It's okay. That's why you got to drink some coffee. Helps it ease itself. You got to drink your B&B water. You can get this anywhere at your nearest tap. And, if you want to see more potential dog crapping and maybe some crappy takes from Spencer, like his dog has told him, you should subscribe to the channel and hit the push notification bell to stay up to date on all new videos.
Pretty much.
Oh, that B&B water's fresh today. I can't lie.
Fresh tap water?
It's fresh tap water. All right. Shirtless trend. I said it. What I said. I want your reaction. All right. What did you think about the shirtless trend this year?
I think it was funny. I mean, that's been going on for years, but yeah, it kind of became bigger this season.
I think it was the Oklahoma State Cowboys fans that started that one because they were awful. They were awful and needed something to celebrate.
Yeah, because the team was horrendous.
Another storyline. The entire year, the Notre Dame or Miami debacle. And it really became a storyline midway through the season because you had Miami lose to Louisville and SMU. And the committee, being the committee, just completely tried to erase the fact that those two teams ever played each other and said, let's just move Miami all the way down to like 19, 18. I think they ended at 18. I think they were 18. It was the lowest end they got to. And then Miami said, you know what, let's play our best football at the end of the year. So they kept inching their way back up, and everyone's like, well, Miami shouldn't have been below Notre Dame in the first place. They won head-to-head. Why are they lower than them, period? And everyone felt like, okay, if you look at Notre Dame's schedule, who have they really played? Honestly, their best win of the year was USC. Their best win was USC. Yep. Regardless of how good they looked after their first 2 losses to Miami in week 1 and to Texas A&M in week 2, their best win was USC. They were efficient. They were good. But when it came down to it, we had the head-to-head debacle where it was in between Miami or Notre Dame. You had to give the tip of the cap to Miami. And now you have the playoff format even changed for next year with Notre Dame being locked in as a top 12 team regardless. And they're the only one who has that real lock inside the top 12 out of anybody.
Ridiculous. Just kind of damn conference.
Well, there's reports out there that their conference alignment when it comes to the future of which conference that could be, who they schedule.
Be the ACC, wouldn't it?
Well, it's the ACC now, but I've seen rumors out there. I don't know how accurate it is that Notre Dame's looking to possibly not have their schedule alliance in the future with the ACC. It could move to a different conference. I keep hearing the Big Ten is the possibility there for the future to move their scheduling alliance with them and to move to the Big East in basketball. I have seen that as a possibility. I'm not saying that is accurate. I'm just saying that is more speculation. So don't quote me on any of that right now. But the Notre Dame-Miami thing, it was a massive storyline because the committee and how they operate and how they rank, period, is awful. And we've been talking about that all season long, way before this ever was an issue. That the way the AP poll voters operate is not good, and the way the committee operates is not good. And the fact of the matter is, to me, the committee shouldn't even be a thing on TV. They shouldn't do these weekly rankings at all until the actual selection, I think. Either until the actual selection.
At the end, I don't really care about the
Either
ranking.
that or just have the playoff rankings just be the actual rankings all season long. I don't like the fact that, when the playoff committee comes in November, that's the actual ranking, not the AP poll ranking. And to me, that just defeats the purpose of the AP poll. Either have the AP poll matter a little bit more, which historically was always the real ranking, or just completely get rid of the AP poll, which I know the AP poll people would not want because they need to have their voices heard. We know people who are on the AP poll alone here where we are even. So I don't see that ever changing. I think the AP poll will still stay around for a long time, but just have it be one or the other. I hate the fact that you televise this in the month of November. No one cares because we know at the end of the day it's going to work its way out. Just get rid of the committee. Don't televise them at least for sure because they make themselves look even stupider as the years go on. I hate using that word, but it's just accurate. They look stupider all the time on TV. So it's just a bad product. And you kind of saw the worst side of it. I mean, we've seen it in the past with Florida State. You can make the argument the first year of the 14 playoff with TCU and Baylor getting snubbed, but that's why you have conference championships now. And even then, under the modern format, there's a real argument, do conference championships really matter even at that point? You got to love the drama of college football. It basically all reverts back. Every decade, it seems to just flip over on its head. And then the same arguments, it's almost like they just want people to talk, right? That's what it adds up to, and that's why we're here to talk. Another situation for me that I found intriguing, a lot of underrated programs this year that nobody talked about. No one gave them credit most of the year. There's 4 teams that stood out in particular. You hear about them possibly for next year being pretty decent. You didn't really hear a lot of people talk about them too much this year. I will start with one because I feel like they got a little bit more talk because they were a potential conference champion. Virginia, the Cavaliers. They were very good this year with Tony Elliott, with Chandler Morris, former North Texas quarterback. They really ascended this season. And of course, next year, I know they have Bo Pribula on their roster. I forgot who else they have. I think they have Bo Pribula. There's another portal quarterback that they have, and I can't remember who it is. Off the top of my head, I'd have to look. But Tony Elliott's building a decent program down there in Charlottesville. Another one I have. No one talked about the Arizona Wildcats. They went 9-4, 9-3. Noah Fafita's still back in Arizona for next year. And what they're doing there after replacing Jed Fish, I mean, they bounced back right away in the new Big 12.
Yeah.
Iowa.
Pretty decent.
Iowa. 9-4. They always are. Let's not act like that's not the case. But this was like different. They had an offense. They should have, you could argue, should have beat Indiana, should have beat Oregon. If that's the case, they're a playoff team. Iowa's in the playoff. And they're returning most of their guys for next season, except quarterback. And they're very high on, like I said, Jeremy Hecklinski possibly being their guy moving forward. So who knows? Iowa's one to watch for next year. And then the other one is another one to watch for next year in Houston. Houston ascended with Willie Fritz, and the job Willie Fritz is doing down there at Houston might be just outside of, your Kurt Signettis, your Kirby Smarts, Ryan Day, Marcus Freeman, Dan Lanning, outside of all like the top guys, you look at the job he's done at Houston, might be the best job anyone's done across the country. Connor Wegman has become a great quarterback again. And they have the number 1 or number 2 quarterback in the country as a freshman coming in here for 26, and Keyshawn Henderson, who I think will probably have some time and certain plays designed for him next year. Houston is going to be a problem in the Big 12. I think they're going to possibly climb up that ladder to be in the actual upper echelon, closer to a Texas Tech and a BYU next year, other than just, the mid-tier of the Big 12. So those are just some teams that stood out that a lot of people didn't talk about enough, I don't think. And another one for me, too, you had Missouri and Tennessee, 2 teams that were overinflated, 2 teams that you could say got the bump in being ranked all year long simply because of the conference they play in, even though they didn't really go out there and prove it at all this year that they really deserve to be ranked. No ranked win for either team. I do think Tennessee's actually, as a overall program, a little bit better. Missouri's good. I like both of these guys. I like Eli Drinkwitz. I like Josh Heupel. I like them as coaches. I like the rosters that they've been able to build. They didn't go out there on the field this year to prove that they were actually ranked. And it felt like overinflation for the SEC because of the new ranking models and formats that you have that do benefit for the SEC. That's a legit thing. People make this argument to change this year. It's very real. The SEC does get a benefit of the doubt. So I think, to me, I don't understand why those two were ranked at the end of the year. Even in the AP poll, they were ranked. The final AP poll, those teams were ranked with 4 or 5 losses. After losing to an Illinois, after losing to, I'm trying to remember who Missouri lost to. I don't remember who Missouri lost to in their bowl game.
Virginia?
Yeah. I think you're right, Virginia. So I just don't understand having some of these teams that, on paper, roster-wise, you might have some 4s and some 5-star sprinkled in there. They have the overall talent. They recruit very well. I just don't understand how you could watch the product on the field and put them in the rankings. Another sleeper, Trinidad Chambliss. Trinidad Chambliss on his own is a story from the Ole Miss saga. D2 quarterback from Ferris State comes in late in the portal signing. Like, I think he was a spring signing in like March or April. And he was destined to be their backup because you had Austin Simmons. We talked about Austin Simmons in the preseason being a guy to watch. And Austin Simmons goes down early in the year. Trinidad Chambliss comes on. The offense is just as good, if not better. And he immediately is better moving forward. And then he goes on a beautiful run here in the postseason. Let's see if he's going to be a quarterback in college football next year. We don't know yet. But the Trinidad Chambliss story is one I just can't forget. Coming straight from Ferris State, national champion, multiple-time national champion at the D2 level. And it's like, what do these recruiters or, these scouts or even like these recruiting websites, like what do they miss on some of these guys? How do you miss this?
Sometimes it's just luck. Sometimes you just get lucked into a really good transfer quarterback.
It's a very good point. I have 2 more. Actually, 3. I lied. It's 4. 4 more. South Carolina falling flat. Illinois falling flat. 2 teams that had playoff hope. South Carolina in particular, they went 3-9. You had Lenore Sellers. People had him as a top quarterback in the country this year. He did get banged up throughout the year. Nick Harbor hasn't really panned out to be the wide receiver everyone thought he was going to be. Dylan Stewart is still Dylan Stewart, though. But the thing about South Carolina is that all of these guys are back for next year. And I think it could be an enticing team to watch because the hype they had completely died down, and now everyone's just going to think they're not going to be good next year. That could be one where you circle back in months from now when we talk about our stuff going into 2026, and we're like, why are people forgetting about South Carolina? South Carolina could be very good in the SEC again next year. But this year was not good. It was not good at all. And who knows? I think this is a make or break year for Shane Beamer moving forward. This is a massive season for South Carolina.
Yeah, I agree. It's a big one for Shane Beamer as well because he's got to get the ship right, or else things are going to really go sideways. And with them having Lenora Sellers back for another year, that's big. But they need to get things going and even just make a bowl game. Like they need to get on track.
Yes. ACC tiebreakers is another, because why do we have an 8-5 conference champion in Duke? No shade to Duke. Duke was decent. They weren't great, but with their tiebreaker situation in the ACC this year, they're changing it this offseason. But I mean, you almost had a entire power conference completely shut out of a 12-team playoff that's designed to specifically have them in it. Which they've even changed it now again too, where those Power 4 conference champions do automatically get in regardless. But it doesn't matter. You won't be like top 4 or nothing like that. So the ACC champ moving forward is going to be, and I know they're changing their tiebreaker situation, but how do you not have a team like Miami, if you actually do a real tiebreaker system, probably was in the ACC championship properly. I don't understand. You had, what was it, 5 or 6 teams that were all tied for second? Tied for first? Because Virginia was 1. I think Virginia.
Yeah, it was just a really weird tiebreaker scenario that they had. It doesn't make any sense, but they just decided to put Duke in, and of course, Duke won the championship.
They almost shut themselves out. And it was funny. We were talking about it for like a month on the pod. The final month of the season, we're like, hey, ACC doomsday situation's legitimately possible if you get a team like Duke to win the ACC. We almost had it if Miami had lost another game. If they had slipped up one more time, the ACC would have completely missed the playoff, and Notre Dame would have been in.
Yep.
That's insane. That's insane.
Yeah.
2 more. One is a very interesting topic. Actually, they're both pretty interesting to me. But you got to talk Sharon Moore, right? Like, you just got to bring up Sharon Moore at Michigan.
Crazy. Yeah.
The storyline, like how quick it happened. How everything completely unfolded in the matter of hours. You didn't see it coming.
Yeah, you'd see it.
I mean, some people may have seen it coming, but in other ways, of course. But Sharon Moore fired for cause, off the field situation, affair with coworker.
Got himself with a snow bunny.
Arrested hours later. It just the way it was reported, all of it was just like, what? I couldn't keep my eyes off my phone for like 2 straight days. I was like, what's happening? This is insane. Haven't seen anything really like it.
No.
With any head coach in particular. Like, just period.
The whole thing was crazy. Yeah.
There's going to be a movie about this whole Michigan team period for the last like 5-6 years. If you combine it all together in one, there's got to be a movie, right?
I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, you already have the Connor Stallions Untold situation on Netflix. You got to have an entire movie. From the sign stealing scandals to Sharon Moore, just to the athletic department, period. Think of the other sports and the other issues. You've had hockey sanctions. You've had Juwan Howard. Under Ward Manuel, man, they've had a lot of issues up there. A lot of things have come out.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting. It's so interesting. And the final one I have, because we are G5 guys, we are Mac propagandist, if you will.
Yes.
Bud Elliott of CBS Sports, he's on the Cover 3 podcast as well. He put out this tweet. I believe it was a tweet, or he may have stated it on their show. I don't remember. Or on CBS. I forget where it was said. But he said G5 shouldn't be in the playoff, which I know you sort of agree with. But his reasoning was it's a safety hazard. It's a safety hazard for the G5 teams to make the playoff. And you look at this playoff, right? How this playoff actually went down. James Madison played Oregon pretty good. In fact, they were way better than any Texas Tech was. That offense was abysmal for Texas Tech. James Madison put up 34 points. Yeah, some of it may have been like crapshoot moments. But they had over 500 yards of total offense on that Oregon defense. 1. And 2, you look at Indiana's roster. This is the epitome of having the G5 argument for them making the playoff. Because that entire roster, for the most part, of course you had other guys. I mean, Fernando Mendoza wasn't a G5 player. But you had 13, 14 guys in the past who were G5 starters. And they went to Indiana and won a title. Now, I'm not sitting here arguing for 2 or even 3 teams of the G5 to make the playoff. I don't agree with that. I think the best G5 team should get a chance to make it. Does it mean they're going to go on and win a title? No. 12 teams can't win a national championship. But it's a perfect playoff format. I love this playoff format right now. I think they need to worry about way other things other than trying to expand the playoff. And obviously, because the 2 commissioners at the SEC and the Big Ten can't agree on an actual playoff format, it almost kind of works out because I think the 12 team's perfect. There's other things they need to work on in it, but I think the 12 team right now is the way to stick at it. But this whole G5, like anti-G5 argument to me needs to die. Because, the product might not be the exact same constantly, game in and game out. These guys still play elite football. You see some of the best players in the NFL come from the G5.
Elite's a word, but
it's still football. You see the difference between the FCS and the G5. It's there. It is there.
Oh, yeah, I totally get that. But, I mean, you had James Madison and Tulane who had no business being in the playoffs this year.
Tulane had the argument. Tulane had the argument.
No, they didn't.
But they did.
They went to Ole Miss, got blown out.
They were the best G5 team.
In the beginning of the season, they went to Ole Miss, got blown out in the playoffs.
They were the best G5 team. James Madison, like I said, they put up 34 points on Oregon.
And they still got blown out. Oregon wasn't trying, like, in the third quarter because they were up by, like, 30.
Doesn't mean the G5 doesn't deserve a chance. They deserve to have the spot. You know why?
See a G5 team. We're not going to see a G5 team like make a run.
And I'm not making that argument either. The problem is you don't have...
Because all the players will transfer to another school.
See, and here's the debate about the G5, right? They're at the same level playing field technically. They're not sanctioned differently. They're at the FBS level. You see it all the time across other sports. The best teams don't always make the playoffs. The teams who win their divisions and the teams who get the opportunities like that, they make the playoff. How many teams in the MLB missed the playoff because they're not atop their division? How many of the best, even some of the NFL teams, just depends on how the wild card breaks. There's some teams that missed the playoff in the NFL.
Well, I mean, and that's different.
How's it different, though? That's the thing.
Okay, baseball's different because it's 162 games. The best teams in the division win the division.
Yeah.
That's how it is. And if they don't, they make the wild card. We haven't had a team that was statistically top 10 in ERA, top 10 in, WHIP, top 10 in HIP, top 10 in any of that in decades.
You do look at some of these G5 teams, though.
The NHL is one that it's like there's 8 playoff spots in each conference. And most of the time you have the top 3 in each division, then you have 2 wild card teams. This, like the NFL, most of the time the best team wins the division. Most of the time. And if they don't, they make the wild card. And if they don't make the wild card, were they really the best team? So
you've seen 11-5s, 12-5s, 10-7s miss the postseason. In some years,
when have you seen a 12-5 miss the postseason?
In some years, you've seen 11-5. You've seen an 11-5. Not since we've gone to 17 games, you haven't necessarily seen a 12-5. But we've seen an 11-5 Patriots team miss the playoffs. We've seen an 11-5 Cleveland Browns football team in the mid-2000s miss the playoffs. You've seen moments like that.
But those weren't the best teams. Those were just good teams.
And here's the thing.
No argument with I love
but here's the thing
about
I
love the MAC. But you're never going to see a group of 5 team make a run in the playoffs. You're just not. Because those players, if they are good enough, will transfer the next year.
I agree with you there.
They will be met with better players in the playoffs. That's why you saw Tulane get housed by Ole Miss twice in a single season. That's why you saw James Madison go to Oregon and just get destroyed.
And you see Alabama get blown out by Indiana. You see Indiana get you see Indiana blow out Alabama. You've seen Ohio State get blown out by Clemson. You've
They're
seen
a
this
group.
happens.
They're not a group of 5 team.
I
Indiana
know,
is
but
a
a group
Power
of 5
4
team, but a group of 5 team, because they are sanctioned in the same division. They are the exact same division. They are at the FBS level. No one else makes this argument. I haven't seen anyone else make this argument. How can you shut them out? You can't shut them out because they're
do you
technically
want
on
to
the
get the
same
best
playing
teams
field.
in the Do you want to get the best teams in the playoffs? And you have the best overall playoffs, or do you want to get
And see, here's the problem. That's the
because
argument
of
with college
conference
football.
champions?
College football is the only real one that always makes the argument for the best teams. Because the best teams try and play
Because the
itself
best
out.
teams, because there's a committee who puts these teams in.
Yeah.
In the NFL and all other sports, you win based off your record. You make the playoffs based off your record. That's why it's a different argument than all the other sports, because there's not a committee saying, "Oh, we're going to put this team in. We're going to put that team in." No, you win based off your record. You make the playoffs best off your division, best off your record, and how many wins you have. In college football, you have I mean, they were never going to make it, but you had people having arguments for an 8-5 Duke team making the playoffs at the 12th seed. You had people
with this playoff format that we have next
Yes.
year, they would have made it.
Yeah, and it's stupid. It's stupid. They lost 5 games. It's not right. It's not. And I love the group of 5. I love the MAC more than any conference, but I want to see the best overall. I want to see the best teams in the playoffs. I want to see the best overall playoffs because I didn't watch James Madison at Oregon because I already knew how that was going to end. I didn't watch Tulane versus Ole Miss because I knew that game was over from the beginning, and both of those were over in the first quarter.
I want you to try and I don't think you fully understand what I'm saying a little bit. What I'm saying is the fact that they are all at the same level, technically. I agree. I would rather see the best teams in the playoff too. I do. But when you have the G5, but listen,
they can get in.
If you have the G5 and the Power 4 still under the same subdivision, which they are not separate from each other. You have to allow that opportunity for a G5 team to make it.
If they're a top 12 team. I don't need unranked James Madison making the playoffs as the 12th seed.
You can't complain about Notre Dame getting that automatic chance at the top 12 then either, if that's your argument there.
If they're a top 12 team, then they are.
But here's the thing, they shouldn't get an automatic bid.
Ranked in the top 12, then yes, I don't have to complain because they are a top 12 ranked team. You had Tulane, who was not ranked in the top 12. You had James Madison, who wasn't even close to being ranked in the top 12. I don't need to see these teams going to, in the first round and getting housed. I don't need to see that. It's over before the game started. I don't need to see that. It's boring. I want to see the best overall matchups. I want to see the best teams in the playoffs. All you got to do is put the top 12 teams in the playoffs, no matter conference, no matter record, no matter anything. If Notre Dame is the top 12 team, they deserve the automatic bid because they're a top 12 team. But I don't need to see James Madison, who wasn't ranked. Or even if I don't remember if they were like 25 or 24 or what they were in the final rankings.
I think they were 23rd, 24th, something like that.
Yeah. I don't need to see that. They're not doing anything in the playoffs, and they didn't. They got killed by Oregon. They put up 34 points. Cool. Oregon wasn't trying in the second half.
Put up 34 more than Texas Tech did, my beloved Red Raiders against Oregon.
Well, that was in the second round, but yes.
But they still did. Different. They still put up 34 points.
Okay, we're not doing transitive property. We're not doing.
Are we
this.
not?
Texas Tech won the Big 12.
I think we already are having this argument about the G5 in the playoff.
Texas Tech had multiple ranked wins. Texas Tech won the Big 12.
Tulane
Texas
beat
Tech
Duke.
12-1.
Tulane beat Duke, and Duke next year would make the playoff.
Wow, they beat an 8-5 Duke team. Congratulations.
Who would have made the playoff in next year's format?
James Madison beat nobody. These teams beat nobodies. I don't care if they beat Duke.
Then
Duke
you know what they should
8-5.
do? They should have a G5 playoff. But the problem is they're in the same subdivision.
Well, no, you can't have a G5 playoff.
Then what? Why not? Why not, Spencer? Then what are we going to do here? That's the dilemma we're under, right?
If a group of 5 team if there is a group of 5 team who's top 12 ranked, put them in.
No. They should just separate from the NCAA entirely. Like the Power 4 should be on their own. And then
I never said the group of 5 should dissociate or anything like that. All I'm saying is if they're a top 12 team, by all means, put them in. They deserve it. But I don't
You
need
can't
to see
constantly shut them out though, because then they're gonna have that situation where they do leave, and the G4, the
well, they're
Power
not
Four is
good
gonna
enough.
separate, and then the
So
G5
leave.
won't.
They're not good enough. I want to see the best teams in the playoff.
Quinn,
Dude,
Quinyon Mitchell's pretty good.
there
He's
was
a Super Bowl
two first
champion.
round pick. There was 2 first round games that were over from the beginning. Nobody picked James Madison, and nobody was going to pick Tulane. And if they did, they were lying to you, because we saw Tulane and Ole Miss already. Ole Miss killed him. They killed him again. We knew James Madison wasn't really that good. They
Alabama
were
got
just the
killed
best
in the
what
Rose
was
Bowl.
left.
Alabama got
And
absolutely
Oregon
killed in the
killed.
Rose Bowl. You got some other teams that happens. In fact, if you look at the NFL over the last 10 years too, in their playoff format, the average wins by points by the winning team is like almost 3 touchdowns in NFL playoffs too over the last decade. It's like 17 or 18 points. So
But that's
blowouts
based off
happen.
of record. The NFL
Yeah.
doesn't have a committee putting teams in. The committee doesn't have, you know what, we feel bad for the group of 5. Let's throw in the best group of 5 team that didn't beat nobody and is going to get killed in the first round no matter what we do, and throw them in the playoffs just because we feel bad for them. They don't have that. The NFL has a structured system based off of divisions and based off of record. You are put in based off your record. The college football doesn't have that. They had a 3-win team ranked at 9. Then they had a 2-win team ranked at 10. Like, they don't have that. It's different. You can't make the argument on college and professional because the professional sports have a structure. College football
Has
a
none.
structure, but it's seriously flawed. It is a
College
flawed
football.
playoff
Let me tell you
format.
this, Spencer. They don't have structure, and that's why we're here arguing, because there isn't structure,
Well,
and we
in terms
both
of
want the best for college
yes,
football. That's really what it is.
in terms of NIL and in terms of that situation and recruiting
There isn't
and
structure.
signing day being
No way.
during playoffs, no, I agree with that. Yeah, there needs to be more structure.
There's a
But
reason
if
why we're arguing, because we both want what's best still.
yes, yeah, and like I said, I love the group of 5, but you want to know what I love more? I love good playoff games, and I didn't see that for half of the first round. I really didn't. I don't need to see James Madison getting killed. I don't need to see Tulane getting killed.
I mean, the
I
Rose
need
Bowl
to
wasn't
see
a good game,
better
was it?
teams, because if you put Notre Dame in there instead of Tulane or James Madison, it is a much better football game. It is a much better watch.
So you're telling me the Rose Bowl was a good game? No, I'm just
No,
messing.
but
It happens.
Alabama was put in at 9-3 because they had wins over teams. They had wins over Missouri. They had wins over Vanderbilt. They had wins over Georgia, who was the SEC champion. Did they have 3 losses? Yes. But the committee basically said they don't care about conference championships. They don't care if you lose that. And they showed that. And that was a big argument as well. But they had 2 losses, essentially. They were essentially a 2-loss SEC team going into a conference championship. They're going to get in because they have more wins. James Madison didn't beat anybody I care about. I think their best win was Washington State, and Washington State was what, 5-7 or 6-6 this year?
5-7.
I don't need to see that. And Tulane, yeah, they beat Duke. That's cool. Duke also lost to UConn. Like, Duke had 5 losses.
Just
They
goes
got
to show
in
how
the-
absurd that they were almost.
It's stupid that they
No.
got in the ACC title game, but no,
They lost to
it's
Illinois. Like, they lost to Illinois, UConn. They lost.
yeah, they
Tulane.
it's ridiculous. That's
nuts.
the whole thing is based off of they need to put the 12 best teams in the playoffs because that should be what it is. It is, and for the most part, barring a unforeseen thing like you had the Chargers in 2010 didn't make the playoffs and they were number 1 in points per game and number one in
defense. They were number one offense and number 1 defense. It was nuts.
But you don't see that like ever in the NFL. It's hard to see.
The number
that
2
is
defense in the
once in a
country in Toledo didn't make the playoff.
Well, yeah. Well, Toledo was playing the school of the blind a bunch of, every single week.
No,
And then
Western Michigan is dominant. Okay. Western Michigan is like that. And they will be like that. They're a team to watch in the G5 next year, I think. There's a couple teams.
I
in
love
the
the G5, but I want the best games. And putting the G5 in is not going to have the best games unless the G5 has a team that is top 12. And unless because that means that they're really good. That means that they're a dominant group of 5 team and they're going out there just killing dudes. They're just putting it out on there, whether it's with Boise State or, I don't know, someone from the MAC, whether it's someone from the Sun Belt, someone from the Conference USA. I don't care. We shouldn't be having these pity teams make it because it's not fair to the teams that have shown on tape that they are really good. Because I know James Madison was good and I know Tulane was good, but never once did I think they were going to win a playoff game. And they went out and showed that. So
we agree to disagree, but that doesn't mean you and I don't fully agree or disagree. I think we make the same argument just in different ways. Because at the end of the day, college football, in a lot of ways, is broken. More than anything. And we want what's best for our beloved sport. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
That's going to wrap up this episode here of the Scoop and Score Football Show. We both have black eyes, have a little bit of bruised ribs after that, but great episode. Episode 21. That has been episode 21 of the Scoop and Score Football Show. We will see you guys next week. Break down our top 10 quarterbacks going into next college football season. NFL free agency is going to be around the corner as well. Maybe start talking about that. Some franchise tag candidates as well. Maybe just reminisce a little bit more and talk about why the G5 is better than the P4. We'll see you guys next week. Take care. Peace out.